This is my experience with Grand Theft Auto 4. I want to start off by saying this. This is my experience and reflected as such, and does not pertain to somebody else's experience, so thank you for understanding. What I'm going to be discussing in this video is going to contain spoilers for Grand Theft Auto 4 and potentially other Grand Theft Auto games. If you haven't played the games or willing to accept spoilers, we may begin the video. 2008. A simpler time indeed. We're still in the era of the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Call of Duty is starting to get a grip of the gaming community and everything feels simpler. But there is a huge game that releases this year. A game that always steals the spotlight. And that game is Mario Kart Wii! I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Look at those graphics. I mean, you're doing jumps, you're doing flips, you're throwing red shells, blue shells, green shells, tossing banana peels. I mean, look at this game. This game's amazing. No, I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto 4. This game was the talking point of the year, being initially teased in 2007 with the first trailer titled Grand Theft Auto 4 Trailer 1, Things Will Be Different. Nothing too major, some panning shots of the city, and some time lapse, and our first look at our main protagonist, Niko Bellic. Actually, the name of the trailer derives from his speech in the teaser.
Life is complicated. I killed people, smuggled people, sold people. Perhaps here, things will be different.
This short teaser trailer, was enough hype for any GTA fan to be excited. I mean, how could you not? The last major console GTA was San Andreas, and that was on the last generation of consoles. This new high-definition GTA was already chopping up to be a pretty amazing looking game. Even the presentation of it, you already got a pretty good tone of the game. I honestly feel like this was an excellent first trailer to present the game. A nice hook to make you want more. So as the months went by, Rockstar would tease more and more up until its release in April of 2008. Whenever this game came out, it would be an understatement to say it wasn't huge. Anytime a new GTA comes out, there's always going to be massive amounts of hype around it. And I believe GTA 4 was the first to pioneer this hype train, following every release after this. Not to say other Rockstar games were underhyped, but this game really felt like it set the standard of the amount of hype we should see following the release of a new major GTA title. This game was massive and making under 310 million on the first day. 310 million! That's freaking insane! Other games have obviously gotten more sense, but considering the state of the economy when this game was released, it's quite amazing that it sold so well. I don't exactly remember whenever I picked this game up, but I do remember being incredibly excited for it, and eager to play another main entry into the GTA franchise. I remember putting the game into my Xbox 360, jumping with joy, because I was about to play the best GTA game ever! And let me tell you, whenever I saw the Rockstar logo and then the GTA 4 logo, I almost couldn't contain my excitement. And then the music started playing. Looking back at it now, it seems kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, how can someone possibly be so excited for something they have never played yet? We're just on the loading screen. But there I was, barely containing my joy. And then
Daddy's back, you bitches!
I was in for something. I wasn't sure yet, but I was about to witness a journey, not in the sense of normal storytelling, but a journey with one of GTA's best protagonists, Niko Bellic. I feel in particular that Niko's story is one that I genuinely feel invested in and actually want to experience with him. Throughout the entire game, there's a struggle in Niko as he tries to escape his past, but it always seems to catch up with him as he makes confident strides in the criminal underworld, trying to make a better future for him and his cousin. Niko Bellic, in my opinion, is a great GTA protagonist, as he is not only a well-written character, but a well-developed character. After playing through GTA 5 and coming back to 4, it's honestly so refreshing to have one developed character instead of having 3 lesser developed characters. I never found the story of GTA 5 to stick with me as much as GTA 4 has, but I digress. Nico's character is the telling of a morally flawed man who wants to erase his past and break his immoral habits, but can't help to keep away from them. There's always this term thrown out, especially with gaming, called ludonarrative dissonance. Basically meaning that what you, the player, does in the gameplay and how the character in the context of the story acts are completely different. The player can actively cause thousands of dollars in property damage, and in the cutscene, the character can be distraught about the murders he's caused in his past. Nico is no saint, nor does he claim to be. Actually, quite the opposite. He knows what he does is morally wrong and actually shows that he considers his actions, yet he can't help it. Nico is a great criminal. He knows this and thus uses his trade to make his money because that's what he's good at. But sooner or later, his actions catch up with him, making him reconsider his options. We see this by the end of the game, where Nico decides to quit being a criminal after making a massive fortune and living his life as normal as he can. We assume he stops being a criminal from his quote at the end of the game.
So this is what the dream feels like. This is the victory we longed for.
Which can be interpreted as there's no satisfaction in criminality as he loses his loved ones. And Lester's quote in GTA 5.
There was an Eastern European guy making moves in Liberty City, but he went quiet.
Basically confirming that Nico has stopped and decided to live his life. Nico's story is not only a compelling journey of a morally flawed man, but in terms of enjoyment for the player as well. Both endings can be satisfying depending on how your actions personally affect you, but in my playthrough, I usually pick the ending where Kate dies instead of Roman, and that's just because I feel a more personal connection to Roman than I do Kate. I more or less say that either ending is satisfying in their own right though. And either ending has Nico leaving the criminal underworld in pursuit of a simpler and happier life. Overall, the story of this game is extremely satisfying to witness and be a part of. I feel like there's a lot of replay value here, not only because it's a fun game to play, but the story is pretty timeless and one of the better GTA stories. There are not many things about the story that really upset me, and I feel like it was handled very nicely. I have a few very minor nitpicks, but they don't affect my overall experience. I personally feel like there are a lot of one-off characters that outside of the mission or missions that they're involved with, they basically feel non-existent. Elisabetta is one of those characters. I thought she was a pretty interesting character, but after her final mission, you never hear from her again. She just completely disappears, and you're never given much information to what happened to her. Again, very minor, but something I picked up on. Now, in terms of gameplay mechanics, this is pretty personal depending on who you ask. Rockstar doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to how the player actually controls the character in-game, but what you are given is pretty serviceable. Not downright terrible, but it's not perfect either. Nico on foot is pretty basic to control. You walk, run, jog, and you can even crouch and hold on to ledges and take cover. And this feels fine to me. There's not many times I can recall where Nico isn't controlling properly, so pretty good. Shooting, on the other hand, is a different story. This is mostly coming from a controller user's perspective, but the shooting in most GTA games, and little part to Red Dead, hasn't been the strongest. The free aim is a bit slow and even a bit clunky behind cover. The lock-on mechanic actually works fairly well, and it's very clear whenever you lock on because you'll see the ring around the reticle turn into a health circle. The different classes of guns like pistols and assault rifles all feel very different and feel fun to shoot. Even their sound design is incredibly nice to listen to. I do feel like the reload animations are a bit lazy though, as Nico only pulls back the chamber on the assault rifles. Other than that, it's serviceable and fun. Now, the most controversial aspect of the gameplay is the driving. This is where it's incredibly divided in opinions. A lot of people enjoy the realistic approach, and others do not. Whenever I hop back on to play GTA 4, the driving always sticks out to me, and it's always really frustrating at first. But the more I play, the easier it becomes to drive as I get used to it. I don't think I'll go completely overboard and say that I'm in either camp, but I'm more of in the middle. The more realistic driving suits GTA 4's theme very well and complements the game's more realistic art style. On the other hand though, I have much more fun with the arcadey feel of GTA 5's driving. I don't have a strong opinion about the matter, so again, I think it's pretty serviceable. Visually, I believe this game looks pretty good considering it came out in 2008. I think that's in part because of its semi-realistic art style and the general look that they presented with the rest of the game. I think the deformation on the vehicles and the ragdoll physics look much better than GTA 5's, but this game looks surprisingly good in 2021. I've touched lightly on the sound design of this game, and I think the game sounds great. In fact, I actually almost forgot to mention it. Now, that's good sound design. I've always said that great sound design will be almost invisible to everyone unless you're looking for it. The ambiance of the city, the sound of the vehicles, and even the sound of the rain perfectly and seamlessly fit in. Good work to Rockstar's sound design team. Now, this being a GTA game, there's not a whole lot of original music, but the main title theme is by far my favorite. Michael Hunter was the composer for this game, and I believe he did an amazing job. Overall, I greatly enjoyed my experience with the game. Enough so that I've streamed it on numerous occasions, and every time I find myself enjoying the game. If I had to rate this game out of 10, I'd probably give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Although I love this game, I don't think it's perfect, but I do find it incredibly fun to play and thoroughly enjoy the story. Most, if not all, the GTA 4 footage was captured by me and was taken from my streaming Let's Play of the game. If there's any other footage used, they will be credited in the description down below. I think this game has quite a bit of replay value and wouldn't be mad at all if Rockstar decided to give it a facelift and re-release it on newer hardware. So that is my experience with Grand Theft Auto 4. I hope all of you enjoyed, and as always, hope to see all of you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.